Good morning, parents. Buenos días a todos. For those of you that have the translator, si tienen sus traductores, si se los quieren poner nada más antes de empezar, para asegurarnos que están funcionando, les vamos a dar un minuto. They're trying to work on the other ones. Okay, parents, are they working okay? Can you all give me a thumbs up? Thumbs up? Yes? Okay. Si alguien necesita si no está funcionando el traductor que le dieron, por favor levanten la mano y les podemos traer uno. ¿Estamos bien? Okay, muchas gracias. So good morning once again, parents, and welcome to our United Council of Parents meeting. We're very excited to see you here in person again for those of you that were with us the last time. My name is Rebecca Morales. I am the Executive Director of Federal and State Programs here at UISD. We oversee parent engagement for the district. We're very excited about today's meeting. Before we do begin with the actual presentation, parents, I do want to introduce to you a few of our district personnel that are joining us this morning, beginning with our Superintendent of Schools, Mr. David Gonzalez. We have our Deputy Superintendent, Ms. Gloria Rendon. I saw Ms. Rendon just a minute ago. We have several of our executive directors from our Curriculum and Instruction Department here to my left. We can give them a round of applause. And then I'd like to introduce to you all our staff members, all of our staff members from our Federal and State Programs Department who were essential in putting all of this together for you all today, parents. So if I could have my staff either stand up or give a wave. All of our staff members from federal programs. And we have Mr. Ricky Rangel, who is our safety manager for the district, who's always helping us with all our parent events. And last but not least, I would like to introduce our presenters for today. Today's topic, parents, is on parenting and mental health. We know that this is something that you all have been asking us for, that you want to know more about. Of course, the times that we have lived in this past year and a half, almost 2 years, have been very challenging. And so I'd like to first introduce our Director of Counseling and Guidance, Ms. Melissa Ramirez. And our presenter today is Ms. Elizabeth Gardner, our licensed professional counselor for the district. One more thing, parents, before I pass it on, I do not want to forget, you all have your passports. Some of you had your passport from the Parent Learning Center. We are going to be using these passports all year because remember, our journey, our theme this year is the future of the world is at United ISD, and we want you to be part of the journey with us. So we're going to be stamping your passport at all of the events that you come to. At the end of the year, we're going to collect these back from you all, and we're going to have door prizes, okay? So keep these with you. We're going to stamp you at the end when you're departing, okay? So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Ms. Gardner. Thank you so much.
Well, hi, parents. Hi, I am very, very thankful for this opportunity to share with you today. It's still morning, so good morning. This topic is something that, like Ms. Morales was saying, is something that has been just becoming more and more, people are becoming more aware of it, and how important it is for us as parents to understand our children better. And also, for us to also be able to take care of ourselves. And so that goes one with the other. So I will start the presentation. If you have any questions, please wait for the end, and I'll be taking as many questions as I can. So my name is Elizabeth Reina Gardner. I'm an LPC, which is Licensed Professional Counselor. I'm with the district. I work with students, adolescents, teens for about 10 years in different programs and different ways. But I do have 10 years of experience in this area that is right now, and those years are just very changing in development for children and for teens. And so I'm very, very glad that I'm able to present on this today. So I wanted to start with some stats of a survey that was done this past year. And so more than half of surveyed moms and dads with children under the age of 18 said they feel distant from their kids. In all, 43% blamed their measly family time on their kids spending too much time in front of television, with another 51% saying their kids spend too much time in their bedrooms. Another 44% said their familial disconnect is a result of their kids logging inordinate amounts of time on their phones during traditional family time in the evening. So just looking at those numbers, and this is something that I've heard from parents all these years, that is just becoming more and more of a norm for kids to be on their laptops, iPads, on their phones. Most of the teens that I've seen, I would say about 90%, I ask them what their day is after they get back from school. They go to the rooms, they come out, they get something to eat, they go back in their rooms. That's usually what they tell me. I ask, do you spend any time with mom, dad? Do you spend any time with brothers? Usually it's no. They're also in their rooms. They're also spending time alone. So this is very alarming. I don't know how many of us grew up and we at least went outside and got a taco with our dad, mom, and talked a little bit about how our day was going. Well, this is not happening anymore. And this is why we're seeing a rise in anxiety, a rise in depression. We ask ourselves, why is this happening? It starts at home, parents. It starts at home. And so if we want to see a change in our children, then we need to start looking at what's going on at home. That's another question that I always ask when I'm seeing a student is, what is the family dynamics? What's going on at home? Because guess what? If it's happening at school, there's something going on at home. Okay, because that's where the kids get the stability. So I just wanted to show these percentages and these numbers to see, and I'm sure there's more than this, but these are just the numbers that we have based on a survey of how much time, and see, words that are there are blame their time on their kids spending time. Their kids spend too much time in their bedrooms. Who has control of this, parents? We do, okay? So we need to take responsibility of what's going on with our children when it comes to mental health and all these things that are coming up. So just another picture, I want to give you more information on, this is the latest that we have on the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. And again, this is 2019, so I'm sure that now it's increased. Common mental health disorders right now, we have 30% of them are mood disorders and depression. So there are mood that impacts thoughts, interests. I mean, pretty much all of us has heard about depression. Now, a lot of us use that term very lightly. Depression needs to be diagnosed by a specialist, by a professional, because we start throwing these names around. You know, you're depressed and this and that just continues to make the children believe that they are in a situation that might not be. They just need extra support. So we need to be very careful how we use all these words. And sometimes I'm very hesitant of using the words because then people start using them more. And this is just teens and they're in the age that they are, and adolescents. Like we see here, anxiety disorders, most common ages 12 to 18. They're going through changes. They're going through changes from friends, trying to fit in, trying to find what they want to do, and a lot of them are in extracurricular activities. They have that pressure, and so they're just going through so many changes that a lot of this is normal because of where they're at. They just need extra support. That's all they need. Now, some of them do need extra help, and of course we'll provide it, but let's try not to use these terms very loosely. So 32% anxiety disorders. That's the number one thing that we see in schools. Anxiety. Now to even where a lot of students are having panic attacks. That wasn't seen a couple of years ago. It's happening now. A lot of it has to do with COVID. A lot of it has to do with that they were in seclusion for such a long time, and their needs weren't being met. Their needs of socializing, seeing their friends, their family, their support. Some of them lived across, the parents lived across, so maybe one parent, or maybe in another town, another state, they weren't able to see them. So of course, anxiety raised, and that's what we're seeing this school year particularly. 9% attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and 3% eating feeding disorders. And I think that 3% is underrepresented because we do see that a lot in our teens. And one of the things that is most common is that finding out that these children spend most of their time on social media. Okay, I'm a parent. I have teens. I ask them, they come home, show me how much time you spend on your phone. I need to see how much. The least that they have spent during the day, and this is like by 6 p.m., 3 hours. 3 hours, and this is 6. At that time, I tell them, okay, time to put your phone here on where I can see it. Let's do other stuff. Okay, now, are we monitoring that at home? Parents, are we monitoring that? We have to, because if not, what they're comparing themselves is to those pictures. And let me tell you, there's a lot of, the selfies, they have a lot of filters and stuff. So, I mean, that's not reality, but they get to think that that is reality, and they want to look like them. And so this is where we're seeing all these eating disorders. Now, just a basic, according to the American Psychological Association, just a basic term for what, or explanation or what parenting is parenting practices around the world share 3 major goals. So these are the 3 goals that we usually see when we talk about parenting. Ensuring children's health and safety, preparing children for life as a productive adult, and transmitting cultural values. A high-quality parent-child relationship is critical for a healthy development. So these are the 3 things that, according to the American Psychological Association, is what parents should be doing. Okay? Now, things happen. We go through problems too. We go through issues. We don't know. That is okay. That's why we're here. We're here to help. Professionals are here to help. Counselors are here to help. So that's where you look for the help. One thing I always say, it's okay not to be okay. It's not okay not to ask for help. And sometimes we think that's only the children, the students, our children, because we know best. Sometimes we don't. And we need to ask for the help, even if it's for ourselves, right? Because we all need it. We all work, we're all up and down, so we need it too. But I just wanted to show that according to the Psychological Association, that is what we need to be providing for our children as parents. Now I wanted to show, it's a little bit blurry, but I wanted to show you different types of parenting. There are different styles. They all range from the neglecting to the really not spending time with your child to the authoritarian, which is extremely controlling. You pretty much guide every step that they take. They really don't have much to say back if you say something, and I know it's particularly in the Hispanic population, that's the way we're brought up. You don't ask questions. You do what we tell you to do. How dare you ask? I'm the expert. I'm your parent. And so our society, or here in Laredo, is very inclined to be that way, be very authoritarian. We tell them what to do. We expect them to obey and listen without questioning. Now that brings problems, okay? But I'm going to go through each one of them. So authoritarian. This is the one that I started with, the one that is very, very controlling. And we're going to go through these statements and see if maybe those apply to you as a parent. Do any of these statements sound like you? You believe kids should be seen and not heard. That's kind of what I was saying. Okay, I see you, but you don't talk back. And we'll see sometimes kids, but it's don't talk back. That for us a lot of times is talking back, right? They just want to voice what they feel, but a lot of times we don't give them the opportunity. When it comes to rules, you believe it's my way or the highway. And to give the benefit of the doubt, sometimes we don't do this in a mean or bad way. We don't want to hurt our children, but that is what we thought. That is how we were brought up. And we were brought up thinking that that is the way to parent, okay? Another way, you don't take your child's feelings into consideration. So this is another one that we're going to talk about, feelings and learning. And even while I've been studying this, and then during the time that I was studying this, I became aware of a lot of things that feelings are really there for our protection. They're there for a reason. Our body doesn't have feelings just to have them, to cause problems. No, they're an alert, and that's how we should see them, okay? But the authoritarian parenting or parent does not take those things in consideration. Feelings are put aside, okay? So children with these type of parents, or parents that have this style of parenting, are at a higher risk of developing self-esteem problems because their opinions aren't valued. Now, I had one parent say, well, if this happens and I let them talk, I don't want them to think that they can do whatever they want. I want them to know that I'm in charge. Are we giving them too much? Because one of the rules that we have is 90-10. Now that 90-10 means the kids talk for 90% of the time when we're having a discussion, we talk 10%. So that's how this question started, or this was prompted by this parent, saying, well, 90%, that seems like it's too much on the parent side and not too much on my side. I need to tell them. Again, with this idea of I'm the expert, I'm the parent. And I said, no, 90% is just for them to talk and vent. Now, me as a counselor, I can tell you most of the time what I do is sit and listen. That's what I do most of the time. But after that, sometimes they even, okay, they already got those feelings out, they express themselves, guess what? Now they're at a point where they'll listen. Now they will listen. And that's where you take that 10%, say what you have to. If you have to set boundaries, go ahead and set boundaries, and then we're done with the conversation. And believe me, if you follow this rule, you'll see that it does work, and it will take you from maybe a 2-hour argument, that it's a back and forth and back and forth. Now, the permissive parenting, those, right now we see a lot of those too. So these are the statements, and see if these kind of sound like you. You set rules, but rarely enforce them. You don't give out consequences very often. You think your child will learn best with little interference from you. So those is something that we see a lot right now too. Why? Because parents are on their phones. Parents are checking Facebook. Let's see what the friend did. Let me see what the comadre did. Let me see what the new style is. Ay, ya viste tu tía. Mira lo que anda haciendo. You know, it consumes it before. And I know I have a time set on my phone. It doesn't allow me to go over that because I can go over it too. You just don't pay attention. You start getting into it. So permissive parent, basically, you're there, but you're not really being any guidance to your children. You're standing by and saying, well, they should know better. They're 17, they know. They're 16, they know. He's 10. Eso te pasa. Okay? Where's the responsibility? We are the parents. Another thing that I wanted to mention is, which was news to me a couple of years ago, the part of the brain where you actually rationalize, think logically, is the frontal cortex. Okay, that doesn't get developed until you're about 23, 24. Now the one that does is the limbic system, which is the one that actually drives impulses, and the amygdala, which is the emotions. That one gets fully developed around 13, 12, it depends on the person, on the individual. But if that one's running, the impulsivity, but the prefrontal where you do logical is not, what's gonna happen? They're gonna become impulsive, they're gonna do stuff, and you're like, you didn't think about what you were doing? Well, no, they weren't. Not because they didn't want to, but because they're not yet there in development. So we need to be aware of that. Giving responsibilities to children when they're really not ready for them, and then blaming them for making those decisions. Okay, so being very, very aware of that. And that doesn't mean that they can't make choices. Yes, they can, but we need to be the ones that are gauging that. Okay? Uninvolved parenting. So this is the extreme. Any of these statements sound familiar? You don't ask your child about school or homework. That kind of goes into the also, they know better, it's their homework, they should take responsibility. You rarely know when your child is where he is or who she is with, who they are with. You don't know where they are. Again, putting that responsibility of they know best. If they chose their friends, well, then allá ellos. They'll figure it out on their own. Now, as a parent, I know it takes a lot of energy to be involved, to be checking, to be, where are you? Let me see your phone. Who are you talking to? It does, but that is our responsibility. That is what we need to do. And you don't spend much time with your child. So another thing that happens, we go eat, or, and we look at tables, everybody's on their phone. Now, is that really spending family time? And it's like, oh, we went to eat. Okay, so what did you talk about? Well, I was on my phone. My mom was on their phone. My dad was on their phone. My sister was on the iPad. Okay, but that's family time. And that is what we are getting into. Saying that family time is just being together, yet not speaking to each other. And children with uninvolved parents are likely to struggle with self-esteem issues, amongst a lot of other disorders and problems that they come up with. It's not just self-esteem, but there are so many other ones. When we see teenagers that are starting to get into problems, that is fine. They'll make decisions. They'll make decisions that we're like, okay, what's going on? But then it's our job to try to understand and look at ourselves and say, okay, what am I not doing? Where do I need to redirect? Instead of saying, you're going to have the consequences. This is your fault. It's like, let's step back. Let's understand that this is a child. He's developing. We need to act to give the support that they need for this not to happen again. How can we learn as parents from what happened to them, what they did, what choice they made? And so this is the one that we want to get to, authoritative parenting. So do these statements sound like you? You put a lot of effort into creating and maintaining a positive relationship with your child. You explain the reasons behind your rules. You enforce rules and you give the consequences, but take your child's feelings in consideration. Now, talking a little bit about these. Positive relationship. A positive relationship doesn't mean that you're never gonna put boundaries, that you might never get upset. Those are also feelings. But to say, okay, this is getting me upset, can we talk about it later? That's okay. It's okay for us as parents to get upset, to get to a point where we're really stressed. We already know, starting that conversation, that school was bad, that we had a lot of traffic. We already know. If we see they come in and they say they're a paper, they come up with bad news that they got in trouble. We already know that we're going to start lashing out, maybe. Why? Because of our day. So being aware of that too, and guess what? That's going to help them feel good about or expressing their feelings, even the so-called negative feelings, which is I'm stressed or I'm mad or I've had a long day, I don't want to talk. That's going to show them how to be too. So by doing that, we're also showing them and we're avoiding that. So a positive relationship is, okay, I understand your feelings, I see them, I'm aware of my feelings. Let's talk when we're at a better point so we can actually get something from this. And so having that back and forth. You enforce the rules and give consequences. It's important to reinforce consequences if we want to see a difference in the way our children are behaving. A lot of times we'll tell them that something's going to happen. I'm going to take that iPad away. I'm not going to let you do something. And then it happens. And you keep repeating yourself. I'm going to take it away. But guess what? If they keep on their iPad, then that means that I can clean up the house. I can put it close to wash. Like, so you know what, I'm not going to take it away from them. So it's really important to go ahead and do give the consequence when we talk to consequences that also lead for children to believe us next time we say it. Because if not, it's going to continue. So I wanted to give you 12 ways to become a more authoritative parent. So 1, listen to your child. Listen, a lot of times, and it's happened to me, I'm listening to react. I'm listening to say something back. I'm not listening to really see where this is coming from. Let me tell you a secret. Kids do want to tell you. Teens do want to tell you. They do. Sometimes they're like, he doesn't want to tell me what's going on. Well, let's look at ourselves. Have I not given him that safe space to tell me? Because right away they say something, we want to correct. We want to make it better. Oh, it's because I'm sad because I'm not going to make it to the track team, or I'm sad because my friend didn't want to sit with me. Right away, oh, well, make more friends. Oh, well, okay, let me talk to the coach. Okay, we try to make it better. And then it's not about, because guess what? You're not going to be in their life the whole time. You're not going to be right beside them your whole life. We need to make them resilient. We need to let them learn how to go through those things and then come out and say, okay, it made me sad, that didn't work out. Let me see what else I can do. There's options. There's things, not always try to make it better. Validate your child's emotions, so reflecting, a lot of reflecting, that I see you're mad. I know that we know that they're mad because they'll probably be screaming, or their faces will look really mad. But us saying, I see you're mad, to them is like, okay, maybe I can calm down because I'm getting across what I want to say. My feelings are going through to them, so I can stop. I've done this with small children. It's like magic. They'll be throwing tantrums, they'll be throwing on the floor, and I'm like, get down to their level, and it's like, well, that really upsets you, doesn't it? You're really mad about that. And they'll just look at you, and they're like, and they'll just kind of compose themselves, because they just wanted to transmit that to you. What do? We want to snap out of it. Okay, stop it, Okay, no, that is their language. That is, and even teens, they'll make faces at us, they'll ignore us, right? That really gets to us. But maybe that's not the best time. We need to validate their feelings. Okay, I see that you don't want to talk to me right now. Might want to be a good time. Okay, you let me know when you want to talk. Letting them have their space, letting them have their time, and they'll come back and they'll talk to you. Establish clear rules. Now, there have to be boundaries. A lot of parents are, okay, it seems like you're just shifting everything towards the kids, and they get to have the say-so. No, there's still boundaries. Why? We keep them safe. We need to keep them safe. That is our job. But that doesn't take away from also allowing them to have their own voice and express their opinions. Use consequence that offer one warning for minor issues. So that's another thing that we can do for certain things. When they're small, we can just give them one warning and tell them, okay, I saw that you did that. We've talked about it before. What can we do? What are we doing? Let them also in on the consequences. What can we do next time? Problem solving. Get them involved. Okay, I see that getting up at 7 doesn't work for you. What do you think we should do? They'll come up with stuff. And guess what? That's going to make them more likely to follow the rules. Why? Because they had a part of it. They were able to make that plan with you. So they won't be like, oh, it's because you told me. It's like, hey, we did this together. I care about what you think. Maybe going to bed earlier or shutting off electronics was usually recommended an hour before they go to bed. Not falling asleep with the TV, which happens a lot. So use consequences that teach life lessons. So in this one, usually it's pick your battles. Pick your battles. Sometimes it's okay to let it go. We're not going to lose any ground with them. They're not going to think that they're not going to listen to us next time. No. Sometimes it's good to just, okay, I'm going to let this one slide. But then there are other ones that instead of giving them consequences, we can say, okay, if this were to happen again, what can we do? What do you think you should do? What would help you? In the future, this is going to probably happen to you. Your friends might stop talking to you. What does that say to you? How do you feel? And so using it not only because we're training them, or we should be training them, for adult life. That's our job. We have them right now, they leave. I see it as a I don't want to say a bomb ticking, but a clock ticking. Some of my kids are already teens and getting older. I'm like, okay, I have 3 more years that they're going to be really clingy to me, and then they're off. Let me get as much as I can into them. Not to make them dependent, but independent. Offer incentives. Instead of so much consequences, we also need to use incentives. Next time that you wake up by yourself, you can have, I don't know, an ice cream when I pick you up, or things like that. That incentives do work. They encourage that behavior. Balance freedom with responsibility. That's something else I was talking about. turn mistakes into learning opportunities, and I put that even on parents. I learn from stuff that I say, okay, I should have done it differently. How can I make it better next time? I know I talked to them right after they got out from school. I know they're tired, and I picked a bad subject. You know what? I'm going to leave it up to later after we eat, because everybody's happy after they eat, because their basic need of eating was math. And I'm happier when I eat. So let me choose that. So learning, and by mistakes, it's things that you've done before that have not worked, into how can I turn this around. Encourage self-discipline, so letting them also regulate themselves. And I'm going to show a little video in a bit about a little bit of self-regulation and where it comes from. And surprisingly, starts with us as parents. And maintain a healthy relationship with your child, which is all of these. All of these are involved. So let me read this. While the world has been focused on academic achievement in childhood, emotional self-regulation has been largely ignored. This is a poor strategy given that research suggests emotional intelligence is twice as strong a predictor as IQ of later success. Self-control, one piece of emotional intelligence, is particularly important in predicting achievement in children. Children who are able to inhibit impulses, often driven by emotions, and avoid distractions, are able to engage in more prosocial behaviors and accomplish their goals. And just to start to talk a little bit about often driven by emotions, one thing that I've been talking to teens about every time I go to a school and talk to them, I ask them, I'm going to give you a quiz. What comes first, thoughts or emotions? Feelings. What comes first? Feelings? Thoughts? Feelings? So the answer is thoughts. Thoughts come first, then comes a feeling. Now, this is news to most of them. They don't know. We didn't know. I mean, there was a point where I didn't know. And I know a lot of this because I studied this. So I completely understand why parents sometimes are like, okay, this is new. So I teach them to always, when they have a feeling, become aware of what they're thinking. Because if you can change that, then you can change the way you feel. And if, as parents, we not only teach it to them, but we practice, our relationship as parents and with them is going to become so much better. Because if you're upset, maybe it's because you're afraid that you're going to get late to work. And that's your thought. My goodness, I'm going to get written up. Or that. So the thought is actually back is what's driving all of that other emotions. And with kids, it's the same thing. A lot of them don't know why. So sometimes I will ask, so why are you upset? I don't know. And that's okay. But we need to start practicing. Next time you feel upset, start thinking about why. Start looking into why, because there is a why. There is always a why. So a particularly powerful study tested school-age children on self-control and conducted follow-up studies on those children in their 30s. The study demonstrated that self-control predicted success better than IQ, socioeconomic status, and family environment. Those children high in self-control were also healthier, made more money, and were less likely to have criminal records or trouble with alcohol. So what we're seeing here, and what usually society makes us feel that's more important, and that what gives her like our little star as parents, is, do they have a good job? Did they come top class, come out of top class, top of the class? Do they have a well-paying job? Did they go out of town for school? Things like that. When in reality, the biggest predictor for that is in our hands by teaching them self-regulation, emotional self-regulation. So what is that? It's becoming aware of their emotions and being able to catch them before they turn into a behavior. Because first comes thought, then comes feeling, then comes behavior. So we're able to tackle the thought feelings, then we're targeting behavior. And that's what we want to do. So emotional intelligence is just being aware that emotions are there for a reason, that we need to be aware of them and that they're okay, even though negative feelings, because I've heard that, oh, the negative feelings. Well, they're there for a purpose. So really not negative. It's an alarm. It's telling us, it's a red flag telling us that something needs to be addressed. A need is not being met. And that's what we need to be aware of and see it as that. Back to this, feelings serve a purpose. Each of our primary emotions have evolved to serve distinct purposes and motivate our behavior. So what motivates our behavior is our feelings, the way we're feeling. And that will motivate what we're gonna do. If we are sad, we're not gonna do anything. We're gonna sit in a room, we don't wanna come out. For us, sometimes means eating that extra piece of chocolate cake, watching a movie, not wanting to get up. So these negative or so-called negative feelings, sadness, is an emotion uniquely capable of slowing us down both in thought and motor activity. So when we're sad, it slows us down, and we can also have time to think about what's going on and to a certain extent and analyze where this is coming from. Now, when it becomes a disorder is when it interrupts your daily life. When people say, okay, they've been diagnosed, and that's why I say don't try to use these words very loosely. There's other tests that we do assessments, but one of the rules of it is it has to go on for more than 2 weeks. And it's a sadness that they can't get up. They can't function in daily life, as well as anxiety. Anger also. Anger speeds us up, mobilizing intense energy and sending blood to our extremities. While evolutionary, this geared us up for a fight. In modern times, it allows the sustained energy for a fight of a different nature. So anger's not bad. Anger, when we get mad and looking at other times in evolution, or back when we had to fight because somebody was another population, another country was coming to us, we needed to have that in order to protect ourselves. So anger would give us energy and would send blood to our extremities for what? To fight, to engage, to be able to protect ourselves. So all of this is to protect ourselves. Now, when it gets to a point where it's a disorder, obviously, it's when it disrupts our daily lives. But anger and sadness are not negative. They serve a purpose, just like being happy. We like happy, we don't like sad. We tell our children, don't be sad. Don't be sad. They have a reason for it. And by that, we're just saying, get rid of that feeling that's trying to help you figure something out that's going on. Just shut it off, and let's go on with life. Do you think it's going to go away? It's going to be there. It's just going to come out later in behavior because it's suppressed. So we want to be able to say, okay, I see you're sad. And sometimes they'll tell you, no, I'm not. And that's okay. As a counselor, sometimes I say, okay, I'm the expert. I'm going to tell them, okay, I see this. And they'll be like, no. I'm like, okay, so tell me. Would you tell me? Would you like to share with me? And they will. They're willing to have. I know a lot of parents have been with me and they don't talk. No quiere hablar conmigo. And I've tried, and I take them to McDonald's, and I take them to the movies, and I do this, and I watch Netflix series, and they won't talk. They come into my room, I sit, I look at them, and I just, how are you? They start talking. Do I question them? Do I tell them, no, you shouldn't feel this way? This is the way you should be. No, I let them. Guess what? They talk, and they talk, and they talk, and they talk. And we get to the root of it. So if that's one thing that you take from this, listen to your children. It doesn't mean that you're going to tell them or you're going to do whatever they want you to do. It just means that you're giving them that space for them to actually tell you what's going on and express those feelings that are there to keep them safe. Okay, so I'm going to explain a little bit about this video. This video shows a child, and he'll explain it to you. It's about a year-old. And this shows how much co-regulation is important and where they start with co-regulation. What do you mean co-regulation? That they're able to use their emotions and able to get upset and then go back to being happy or in a good mood. They learn this from us. It starts with us. So one of the things that I see sometimes with parents is the child is experiencing anxiety symptoms. The child is coming with depression symptoms. I always bring up parents. Okay, parents, what's going on? I always say, I have anxiety. I am depressed. Dad is depressed. Grandma is depressed. Okay, so then we see that the children, their students, the teens are picking this up from somebody else. And this is the way they learn. They learn from us. So we are the most, again, connecting with their child is the most important thing, and just being there for them is the more important thing that we can do. But let's watch this video.
Babies this young are extremely responsive to the emotions and the reactivity and the social interaction that they get from the world around them. This is something that we started studying 30, 40 years ago, when people didn't think that infants could engage in social interaction. In the still face experiment, what the mother did was she sits down and she's playing with her baby who's about a year of age.
I'm like a girl. Oh.
And she gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her.
Yeah.
This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions, what they want to do in the world. And that's really what the baby is used to. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this, and then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, "What's happening here?" She makes that screechy sound at the mother, like, come on, why aren't we doing this? Even in this 2 minutes, when they don't get the normal reaction, they react with negative emotions, they turn away, they feel the stress of it, they actually may lose control of their posture because of the stress that they're experiencing.
Okay. I'm here. And what are you doing? Oh, yes. Oh, what a big girl.
It's a little like the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is that normal stuff that goes on, that we all do with our kids. The bad is when something bad happens, but the infant can overcome it. After all, when you stop the still face, the mother and the baby start to play again. The ugly is when you don't give the child any chance to get back to the good. There's no reparation, and they're stuck in that really ugly situation.
So that sometimes is hard to watch as parents, right? Because we want to even reach for the baby and hold them. So just in that, I know it's a very small clip, shows you how important it is for them to get their cues from us. They need you. Your children, your teens, even their teens, even though they think they know everything and they think they have it figured out. They don't. And they know that. And they need your help. And from being from that small, from 1 year, all the way till, I would say until they 23, 24, when they're ready to make those choices, they need that even further on, but especially in those years where they're learning how to regulate their emotions. This baby, you could see, totally dependent on the mom to be okay. Totally dependent on the mom to get her cues of, is everything okay? Is my world okay? If my mom's okay, she's responding to me, she's giving my attention, then it means the world is safe. It means I'm in a good place. If mom is not reacting to me, if I'm not getting that attention from my mom or my parent, then that means the world is not safe. And I don't like it. It feels weird. You know, you saw the baby, how it turned because of the stress. There was stress. The baby wasn't stressed, so he wanted to turn away because when he looked at mom, what she needed from her wasn't there. It wasn't there. And imagine this happens still to our teens. They're looking to us. They're trying to see, okay, mom, I'm struggling here. And sometimes they won't say it, but they'll show it in their behavior. And instead of us saying, okay, this is time for me to look into them and try to help them, guide them through this, we push them away and we say, well, you're going to get consequences. This is seen, and this is a whole nother topic, timeouts, things like that. They're going through a hard time. And what they need is maybe something to be modified, for us to engage differently with them, maybe to change the environment in a certain place so that they feel more comfortable. But what we do, a lot of times, parents, is time out in your room. What are we telling the child? Because of what you did, you're going to be far away from me. You're going to be far away from your family because you need to be out because of what you did. So instead of, okay, I'm here, tantrums. A lot of times, and I'm guilty of this, we want them to snap out of it. What they're doing is trying to say this wasn't okay. This didn't fit good with my body. I don't like this. I want this. Now, this is another thing. Children are very self-centered until teenage years. Everybody's different, but let's say 14, 15. Even later than that, for some. That's the way their brain works. It's all about them. Now, it doesn't mean that we need to nurture those thoughts and say, yes, it's all about you. Don't think about anybody else. Of course not. They also have to be considerate and all these other things. But to understand that sometimes they're not capable. It's about them. And we should be about them too. We should be about, how can I help you? I see you're struggling. Not push them away. And that is by when they have a certain behavior that we feel is not a good behavior. It's a misbehavior. In reality, it's not a misbehavior. They're showing it for a reason. Let's to find the reason why. And the reason that we can find, or the way we can find out why, is by having a good connection with them and being open and letting them express themselves. So I want to talk about practicing the 5 steps to emotion coaching. Now we're talk about the term coaching. What do coaches do? They encourage, they discipline, they encourage, they teach. But do we sometimes see that as the same as a parent? No. Parent is assertive. Parent tells us what to do. Parent knows best. But sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're also figuring it out. Because my first teen, I never had a teen. So I was figuring stuff out. And so to be more a coach and start thinking about parenting as coaching, lets us see it in a different way where it's not always my way. And it even makes it easier for us because you take that pressure off yourself. I'm always right and I'm a parent and I'm going to tell you, it's like, hey, it's okay. I make mistakes too and that's okay. Let's learn together. So step number 1, be aware of your child's emotions. Parents who emotion coach are aware of their own feelings and sensitive to the emotions present in their children. They do not require their child to amp up their emotional expression for the feelings to being acknowledged. So in this one, again, going back to the emotions, being aware of them, saying it, reflecting it to them, I see you're mad, I see you're happy. And it's not like a robot thing, like every time you see them, like, oh, you're mad, oh, you're sad. But when you feel the need for it, when you're like, okay, my child is usually not this way, I see that there's something off, then go ahead and reflect. And another magic word that I use, especially with the little ones, but it works with all of them, I wonder why. You're not asking them anything. You're just putting a statement out there. You'll see how it works. They'll start telling you why. Because they see that you care. But you're not giving them that directive. So they don't feel that they need to be a positional. They don't feel like they're telling me what to do. It's kind of like, okay, she's wondering. Let me tell you, she cares. Step 2, see emotions as an opportunity for connecting and teaching. Children's emotions are not an inconvenience or a challenge. They are an opportunity to connect with your child and coach them through a challenging feeling. Going back to what I've talked already. If there's an emotion, there's something behind it, talking to them, and if they're not ready, that is okay. Then you can let them know, tell me when you're ready to talk about it. I'll be here. Leaving it open, because sometimes we want to talk about it, and we want to talk about it right there and then. They might not be ready. They're not going to tell you anything. We need to wait, and they will. They will tell you. Okay. Step 3, listen and validate the feelings. Give your child your full attention when you listen to their emotional expression. Reflect back what you hear, thus telling your child you understand what they're seeing and experiencing. Something that happens, I don't know if you've ever seen it, I've seen it with small children. When you're talking to them, but you're not looking at them, little ones, 2, 3, 4, will actually grab your face and put it where they're at. They know you're not really listening. They're really saying, you're not looking at me. You're not paying attention to what I'm saying. Because a lot of times we can pick up more cues from the face than what they're actually saying. So being able to, again, right now the biggest thing is the phone. Being on the phone, okay, how was your day? Okay, that sounds good. Okay. What about their face? They might be really sad or maybe upset. Or, I mean, you know your child. So we need to look at them. That phone, that Facebook will be there. That post will be there, believe me. You can check on it when they all go to bed if you have to. But being present, being there, in order to also understand where they're coming from, what they're saying. Sometimes what they're saying has nothing to do with their face. You won't catch it unless you're looking at their face, you're paying attention. Step 4, label their emotions. And especially with the little ones, it's to still know. Now, most teens know their emotions, know how to say, I'm feeling this way and that way. But the little ones don't really know. So after you have fully listened, help your child develop an awareness of and vocabulary for their emotional expression. So just like I was mentioning, I see you're sad. I see you're mad. And we use little words. We don't have to use, for little ones, we don't have to use, I see you're anxious. Yeah, we can use, I see you're nervous. And even though that's not a term, because I learned it, my supervisor used to say, don't use nervousness. But that's what they understand. So if that's what they understand, that's what we're going to use. Okay? You're sad, this and that. They'll start to learn, and they'll even come up to you and say, I'm feeling sad. Okay, do you want to tell me about it? No? Okay, we'll talk about it later. I was saying how one of my children, and I've learned this throughout me going through this journey of counseling, to be more open and accepting of when they come up with something that you told them not to do, but they did it. So he had scraped his knee, the scab, they usually pick on it, and before it was always like, what did you do, and things like that. So the other day he calls me, he's like, come see, and he's 8 years old, and so he's like, go, and he had picked on the scab. And he's like, look, it's bleeding. And of course, as a mom, the first thing you want to say, what did you do? I told you, because we want to keep it safe. But instead of that, now because I'm becoming more aware, I said, oh, I see. Did that hurt? Okay, do you remember what we said we can do not for that not to happen? Yes, not to pick at it. I won't. Okay, let me get you a Band-Aid. They're going to learn a lot more from that than they would have by me imposing things and getting upset at them. Now, the thing that I saw was, wow, he told me. Before, he would have kept it away from me. He wouldn't have told me. Why? Because he would fear that I would just go straight to consequence. But he told me. So I took that, okay, I'm doing good. Because again, your children, and I know they say it's a reflection of parents, and it's not for all cases, but they do see us as their role model. They pick up everything from us. And we need to be paying attention to that. Step 5, help your child problem solve with limits. All emotions are acceptable, but all behaviors are not. Help your child cope with his or her emotions by developing problem-solving skills. Limit the expression to appropriate behaviors. This involves helping your child set goals and generating solutions to reach these goals. I know this sounds like a lot, but basically what it is if they're upset, they start hitting something. They're trying to get that emotion out. Okay, but there's certain things that you can't hit. There's certain things that you can't throw. So you give them an option also. Okay, I see you have a lot of energy. Do you want to go run outside? We don't hit your brother. We don't hit your sister. Your sister, not for hitting. I'm not for hitting. You can go run outside. What do you want? What do you want to do? Go run outside? Do you want to punch a pillow? I know some people are against punching pillows, but if that takes the energy away, then that's going to help, and you'll see he's not going to be punching a pillow for the rest of his life. It's not an aggressive. A lot of people think that that's tends to be more aggressive. It's not. They're taking the energy out. But you give them options. What do you want to do? Do you want to run outside? Do you want to hit a pillow? But we are not for hitting. People are not for hitting, so you set limits. You always want to set limits. Problem solving. When they come up with something that they're struggling with, once you observe the behavior, the emotion, the face, okay, what can we do now? What do you think we should do? And sometimes kids, because they're not used to it, they'll be like, oh, she's not telling me what to do. He's not telling me what to do. What's going on? They're giving me a voice. They're asking me. And they'll actually they'll have answers. You think they won't. They will come up with stuff. And smart answers that sometimes, I didn't even think of that. Wow. You know? So it's important to also help them and not try to always rescue them from everything. We need to let them go through those things. We need to let them go through problems and figure them out. And we're there for support. We're there for support. But we're going to let them take the lead sometimes. And you'll be surprised how much they're aware of. Now, things that affect the mental health of our children. Sleep. Sleep is really, really, really important. Most of the teens that I see fall asleep till 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning. Then they're super sleepy at school. They're not being monitored. They're not being monitored. They stay on the phones. They stay playing PlayStation. They stay playing all these things. Parents, we need to monitor. It's vital for their development, not only physical, but mental. Both of those. Insufficient sleep increases the risk of learning problems, accidents, injuries, hypertension, obesity, diabetes, and depression. And it goes, I just put this little picture of, again, the amygdala, which is the one that regulates the emotions. So getting a good night's sleep, it helps regulate the function of the amygdala, less unnecessary fear, stress, anxiety, aggression, and more emotional stability. Even us, when we don't get a good night's sleep, everything's gonna throw us off. Everything's gonna, we're like, I need to take a nap. I need to take a nap. I can't function right now. That's because our basic needs are sleep, eating. So we're not meeting those, then we're not gonna function in our emotional, academically, any other way. So some of the rules that you guys, or you parents, can apply. Rule number 1, no screens in bedroom. That's a big thing. Usually every room in the house has a TV. Well, then they're gonna turn it off when you're asleep. So that's the thing that we can do. Take away those screens. Designate computer and cell phone areas. So, okay, at night, everybody's gonna put their phones out here, somewhere where you can monitor. There could be teens, but again, you know your children, you know if they'll be responsible and turn it off. You know if they're not. And you can give them the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, you can keep your phone. But if I'm seeing that you're super asleep in the morning, we already know they didn't sleep. So, okay, well, tomorrow you're gonna have to leave it outside. We need to start setting these boundaries because at the end of the day, it's to keep them safe. It's to keep them healthy. Even though sometimes they won't accept it, they won't understand it, we need to do that. Rule number 2, no screens 2 to 3 hours before bedtime or at least 30 minutes before. At least, if nothing else, 30 minutes before. That does mess up the way they're able to engage in sleep and fall asleep right away. Especially if they're looking at the screen right here, it would be very hard for them to fall asleep quickly. Rule number 3, no food or stimulants such as caffeine close to bedtime, and none after 2 p.m. is best practice. We have to pay attention what they're eating too. A lot of Starbucks, sometimes they get into drinking Starbucks, drinking other things, and that obviously affects the way they sleep. Really quick sleep guidelines. Just wanted to show you here. 13 to 18 is 8 to 10. So sometimes we've given the kids 7 hours and we're like, okay, you should be ready to go. No, they need extra sleep for their development. So it's okay to sleep in an extra hour. It's okay. Maybe what should we, instead of changing the time that they wake up, we should change the time they go to sleep. Because we have control over that. But they go to school, we can't control the time that they get up to get ready for school. Digital dangers. Something big again, I'm going to talk about it really quick. So this is changing a lot the way that children interact or not interact, which is basic for development. We need to socially interact as human beings. We need that in our development. And one way that we can brain savvy parents monitor the 4 C's of technology use. Brain savvy just means that we're looking at how the brain works. And we know that during development stages, it's not good for them, and it's not, doesn't contribute to their mental health and their stability to be more than a certain amount of time on technology devices. So consumption, how much time, content, what they're looking at, context, and constancy. Now we're running out of time, so let me give you as much information as I can. So this is a little bit of a guideline on the times that they should be spending on the devices. So 12 to 16, solo screen, 2 to 3 hours. Solo screen time on weekends with parental monitoring. Kids have access to a lot of things. Parents, please look into what your child is looking at. There's been a lot of cases where they've been, they're predators out there. They're there. And even for the little ones. There's games that are for kids, yet they somehow introduce stuff in there that are not for children or for their age. So let's monitor that. Here, I don't know if you want to take just a picture of it. I know you guys, you all probably have a copy of this presentation. So these are some apps that we can use to monitor their activity on their phones, on their iPads. It's very helpful. You can try them all or one or the other, whatever fits you best. And so, to end, research indicates that the quality of bond between a parent and a child can either protect against future risky behavior and mental health problems or set the stage for them. At the end of the day, what I ask when I see a teen, a child, is what's going on with parents? How are parents? How are family dynamics? Let me look at that. I don't ask, oh, how are their grades? Okay, what are they in extracurricular activities? I don't ask. My first question is, tell me about family dynamics. What's going on at home? Because that's the root. Our responsibility, and we tend sometimes to put this on our children, is not theirs, it's ours. We need to take that responsibility. And we need to be able to have a bond with them. We don't have to agree all the time, because he's an individual. They're all individuals. They have their own way of thinking. But we need to accept that thought and say, okay, I see what you mean. This is what we're going to do, though, because I'm your parent. I need to keep you safe. You know I love you. They need to know that you love them. If they don't know that you love them, good luck having them follow your consequences and your rules. And another thing that I just want to put out there, dysfunctional family rules. Don't talk, don't trust, don't feel, don't deal. We want to have a functional family, we talk. Even if it's an hour, even if you're tired, even though we want to go to bed, we're going to talk. We're going to trust each other. I'm going to trust you too. We're going to let you feel. It's okay to feel. Angry, mad, anxious, it's okay. It's okay to feel. Let's see what's under that so we can take care of that. And the way we deal with things. So these are the things that we want to do. We want to see our family thriving, our children thriving. Here are my references. I know we have very little time. I don't know if we have time for any questions. 5 minutes? Okay, so we have 5 minutes. Any questions that you might have? I know it's a lot of information and a lot to grasp. Yes.
Lo voy a decir en español, ¿ok?
Sí.
Entendí todo, pero lo digo en español.
Sí.
Ok. Esta plática estuvo muy bien, ¿ok? Uno nos puede usar como distrito, ayudar a nosotros como padres. ¿Qué solución nos dan? Porque todo lo que nos explicaste, sí, padres autoritarios, padres preventivos, padres seguros, pero como padres, no me gusta. Tengo que hablar con el micrófono.
Como gusta.
Pero ¿sí me escuchan? Ok. Está muy bien, ¿ok? Pero ¿qué solución nos dan a nosotros como padres, ¿ok? Porque nosotros venimos con una educación, diferentes educaciones en las casas. No a todos los educaron con padres permisivos, padres autoritarios. La mayoría han tenido padres autoritarios, porque esa es la educación que venimos arrastrando muchas familias con que los papás eran la única, que era su palabra y no había más que otra, ¿ok? Déjenme ponerme los lentes porque apunté muchas cosas. Ok, ¿cómo nos pueden ayudar? Sí, nosotros también necesitamos escuela, ¿ok? Así como nosotros mandamos a nuestros hijos para que se eduquen, educación académica, no emocional, ¿ok? Y todo esto es cuestión emocional, ¿ok? ¿Cómo podemos nosotros como padres, cómo puede el distrito ayudarnos? Si emocionalmente, ¿cómo podemos ayudar a nuestros padres, a nuestros hijos? Si emocionalmente nosotros no podemos, ¿ok? ¿Ok? ¿Qué herramientas nos van a ayudar?
Le voy a contestar la primera pregunta, es cómo les podemos ayudar a ustedes los padres a apoyarlos, ¿verdad? Con esta educación, ¿verdad? Les quiero anunciar y ustedes, I'm going to say it in English, right? Because we have the translators. Those of you that were here with us at the last UCOP, we announced that our school district is actually opening up a family center. It's going to be located, yes, I see some nods, you all were here. We're very excited about it because we know that this is going to help you, our parents, and our families, so that in turn that can help our children. So we are going to actually be having a lot of classes at that center. It's going to be located on Zapata Highway. We're still working on it. We're hoping to open it up.
Disculpa, pero ¿por qué tan lejos? ¿Por qué no lo hacen algo central? Porque nosotros vivimos para el norte, Zapata Highway.
We're going to have transportation available. We realize, that it doesn't matter where we do it. If we do it in the north, we're going to have issues with parents that live on the other side of town getting there. If we do it in the south, we're going to have parents. So we're going to offer transportation. I'm just letting you know, this is a center that is opening up for our families. We have already been talking to different people in the community, like our colleges, to different departments in our school district that are going to be offering these classes for you all. So we're going to have a variety. We're going to have a schedule, a calendar of events, and you as a parent will be able to look at it and say, you know what? I want to learn more about how I can support my child with their mental health, and you'll look at the calendar and you'll be able to go to those events. Again, we will be offering transportation. Or if you want to learn more about strategies on how to help your children with reading, we're going to have those kinds of events. So this is forthcoming. It's something very new that our school district has never had. We're very excited about that, and we're going to be able to offer you more support that way. Now, as far as the counseling aspect, I don't know if Ms. Ramirez would like to answer that question.
Yes, thank you. My name is Melissa Ramirez. I'm the Director for Guidance and Counseling. And just to answer your question, ma'am, communication is very important.
Es que aquí lo tengo.
Sí.
Ok. Y como nos han educado con unos paradigmas, yes. Ok, venimos con unos traer antiguamente, ok, y ¿cómo nos pueden ayudar? Otra de las cosas es la comunicación.
Exactamente.
La comunicación. ¿Cómo podemos nosotros ayudar a nuestros hijos? La única forma es escuchándolos, ¿ok? Y es muy bueno, uno como padre, yo en lo personal, yo empiezo a investigar la programación neurolingüística. El mensaje que dio, estábamos escuchando del video que nos pusieron, está muy bien. Los hijos, desde niños, empezamos a ver el carácter del hijo, ¿ok? No todos los hijos son iguales. Yo siempre pongo mi ejemplo en mi mano. Entonces, cada niño viene con un don, un desarrollo, ¿ok? Individual. Entonces, pero para esto, nosotros como padres tenemos que identificar cada hijo. Es muy pesado eso, pero una de las cosas muy importantes que yo estoy empleando, ¿ok? Porque no fui educada así, mi madre tampoco fue educada así, y nos tenemos que reeducar. Es muy difícil la reeducación que la educación. Es más fácil educar que reeducar. Entonces, esto es lo que está pasando ahorita con nuestra sociedad.
Exactly.
Reeducarnos. Entonces, pero una de las más cosas importantes es amarnos. ¿Cómo
Claro.
podemos nosotros, como padres, darles ese amor si dentro de nosotros no nos amamos?
Right.
Entonces, uno tiene que primero empezar a amarse para darlos para allá.
Right.
¿Cómo se dice? Para poder transmitir.
Right.
Sí, porque no podemos dar lo que no tenemos. Entonces, es muy importante amar a nuestros hijos, amarnos a nosotros, porque de esa manera podemos, el propósito de nosotros, tenemos que tener un propósito como padres, tener un propósito de vida. Y muchas veces no nos han enseñado a tener un propósito de vida. Si no tenemos un propósito de vida nosotros como padres, ¿cómo les vamos a transmitir eso a nuestros hijos? ¿Y cómo les vamos a dar esa fortaleza para que sean personas con un desarrollo positivo, que es lo que está pasando?
Right.
Si
Okay, so
nosotros
let me
en la
answer your
casa,
question. Excuse me. Let me answer your question real quick. You asked, how is the district going to help you or help the parents? And this is part of the help, is communication, but everybody has a different need. And so it's important, if we're not meeting your needs, that you communicate that. You could communicate that with your counselors at school, and then we can put on sessions. We have been putting on sessions for parents through UTRGV, University in Rio Grande, and we have had licensed psychologists, medical doctors that have different topics that are teaching the parents how to treat their children. So it's important communication. I go back to communication. Talk to your counselors at your schools, wherever your child is at, and then we can come up with sessions to help you help your child. Okay? That's how the district can help. A question.
Una pregunta. Es lo mismo, esto de, ¿cómo se dice? Bueno, voy a decir mi problema nomás para que me entienda, porque voy a enredarme. Mi hija esta etapa la estoy viendo que tiene como ansiedad, como de repente panic attack. También de esto se refiere, ¿puedo referirme con la counselor de la escuela de ella?
Yes, and we can find her some help.
So,
Yes.
la counselor de la escuela tiene que tener respuestas para mis preguntas, ¿verdad? Y saber cómo poder ayudar a mi hija.
If the counselor doesn't have the answer, then she can call me. I'm the Director of Guidance and Counseling. We have licensed professional counselors now in the district, and we will work together to find those problems. We need to keep in mind, parents, that we just suffered a global pandemic. And not only are our children suffering, we,
Sí.
all of us, every single one of us here is suffering in one shape or form. Whether we lost somebody, a family member, a friend, or we know a neighbor, we're all suffering.
Yeah.
So communication's important. We see anxiety is very high with the students, depression, suicide, but it's in communicating and helping and having these types of talks that we're going to move forward and succeed and help our children be successful. And each other, because sometimes as parents, we need help ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we have to lean on one another. So start with your school counselor. We have meetings with our school counselors, and we bring up topics. And if it's not at the school or district-wide, start talking to your counselors. It is very, very important because the help is there.
Okay, ¿y estas mismas clases se las dan a los estudiantes en las escuelas?
Some topics are discussed in the school. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Sí, por supuesto, me interesa.
Any other question? Yes, ma'am.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
No tengo preguntas, solo quiero. Es la primera sesión que vengo. Sé que hubo una anterior, pero no alcancé lugar. Y me parecen muy buenas las herramientas que aquí nos dan para poder ayudar a nuestros hijos. Yo creo que como la mayoría que estamos aquí, yo también estoy pasando por situaciones así con mis hijos. Entonces, son muy buenas herramientas. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. And thank you for sharing that. And we're all suffering, parents. We're all suffering. Yes.
Quería agradecer por la escuela de mis hijas. de que cuando trabajamos los papás, la escuela y las instituciones de ayuda, se puede llegar a un buen, ¿cómo puedo decir? Una solución, no una solución porque todavía estamos trabajando en ello, pero mis 2 hijas también fueron detectadas en la escuela, en los Obispos Miro, por la consejera de la escuela, y de ahí me refirieron a unos programas de ayuda, y ellas están yendo a CAPS con su psicóloga y han tenido un avance muy importante. Pero sí,
Thank you.
agradecer nada más porque el estar aquí ya es un comienzo para poder ayudar a nuestros hijos y para tener una mejor comunicación con ellos.
Thank you. Thank you
Gracias.
very much. And we do want to share in your packet, you also have, you want to put it here, community resources. Community resources, they're in your packet. Becky. There is a list, and if you still need help, talk to your counselors, okay? That's where you're going to start. You're going to start with your school. So we do have a list of community resources. You want to turn the page? And then there's several different things. Everybody has a different need depending on yourself or your children in school. And then we also want to mention to you, somebody said, do the kids learn this at school? Yes, they do. This is something that the counselors have at middle school and high school. There is a mental health kit, and students can take these flyers, because sometimes kids don't like to talk about it. And so what our counselors are telling the students is, please come talk to us. It is okay if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling lonely, if you're anxious, if you're depressed. We can help you, but you need to speak. So this is just 10 steps or ways to improve mental health, and we have different topics that the counselors have, resources for your children or for you at campus, okay? If there is a need that you have that we're not meeting, please call my office. I don't have anything to write it down, but it's 473-5248. That number again is 473-5248. I'm right here located at CNI next to the Whataburger on 359. My office is there. If you need to talk to me, you need to find me. Melissa Ramirez will be more than glad, our department would be more than glad to help anyone. Okay? We're here to serve you and your children. Thank you.
Yes, and just really quick, it starts with something, right? And again, we're moving towards that and helping parents go through these difficult times. And we'll continue, but the first step is you all being here, being part of this, and we'll continue to learn. We're all learning, we're all going, but if we communicate, we're here to help you. And I know the counselors are awesome. They really want to help your kids. We're all here for them. So you just let us know and we'll find something new. Thank you for coming, and I hope this helped you.
Thank you again. And parents, those of you that have any suggestions, please, like we heard earlier, please write them in the comment box. You received a survey. We want your feedback. Like we've all mentioned, we want to help you. We're here to support you. Our school district wants to support you so that you can support your children. We need to work together. So please give us any feedback that you feel would be helpful. And again, like Ms. Ramirez mentioned, all our needs are different. But if there's something specific that you would like to learn more about, like I said, we're very excited about our family center. That's going to be a great building, a great resource for all of our families. So again, thank you to our presenters. Can we give them a round of applause once again? So now it's time for door prizes, parents. If you have not gotten your passport stamped, remember, we're going to be using these all year long. Raise your hand. We'll go to you to stamp your passport before you leave. So we have 5 door prizes to give away. We're going to give one away for our virtual parents. For the first time ever, we're doing these events both in person and virtual. So we're going to do 1 door prize for our virtual parents. Do I have to do it? It's going. Okay. It's kind of slow. Okay, so Miss Samantha Flores, who's joining us online, please call our office at Federal Programs for your prize. Now, these baskets were put together here by Marisol Gonzalez, our parent engagement facilitator, and it's something that you can enjoy with your entire family. So our first one goes to, here in person, number 169. Last three numbers, 169, over there in the back. Congratulations, parents. Let's clap for her. Yes. $179. Number 179. We have a winner over here. Two more. 216. 216. And 175. 175, are you here? 175. Parents, thank you once again for joining us, for taking time out of your very busy schedules to be here with us. Again, a huge thank you to our staff, our federal program staff, to our ITV department, our instructional television department, who is recording today's session so that our parents can view online, and we will be placing the video on our website. Thank you all very much. We'll be here if you all have any additional questions. Have a safe rest of the week, and a Merry Christmas to everybody, and a Happy New Year. Thank you all.